she says it's so unfortunate women have lost what it means to have a man in one's life.
How can I say this? Because I've always said that, especially with Black women, a lot of times we're always one of two things. We're either Nicki Minaj or we're Oprah, and both of those are masculine qualities.
Extremes,
There's never never really get to see a Black woman be the middle of the line, like white women, Hispanic women, Asian women. Always, you can always see white. You can always that those races of women be everything, every spectrum of the board. But with Black women, it always just seems like we're just either sexual dynamos or we're workhorses.
Right. Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. Before we get started, please subscribe to our channel if you enjoy our content. We actually have another topic from a viewer. She says she doesn't mind me saying her name. If you guys ever send us any topics, just let us know if you want us to say her name. If you don't, we'll keep it anonymous. She says she's okay with it. So I always like to give people credit for the topic. So her name is DeShawn Wilson. So thank you, DeShawn, for the video or the topic. We kind of chatted a little bit in inbox. It's a little bit of a longer message, so I'm just going to kind of like skim through it. I don't want to read her whole thing if she doesn't want me reading her whole thing. So yeah, so I'm just going to skim through it, and then I'll just tell you what the parts that stuck out to us. She said, here's a little part of it. She said, I have to share, I've been in a relationship for almost 4 years, and I do not believe I would not have grown as much as I have without him in my life. I'm learning to be more vulnerable and feminine with him in my life. She's learning how much a man helps a woman reach her highest potential and vice versa. And she also said it's unfortunate as Black women, we don't see the value a man brings into our lives. I'm glad I'm learning about the value a man has in a woman's life, and I plan on sharing. She says it's so unfortunate women have lost what it means to have a man in one's life. I've already thanked her for this, but I want to thank you again for the kind words, because at the end of this email, she just said some very nice things about us. And yeah, we just really appreciate your, I think women supporting women, Black women at that, you know what I mean? Like we're big supporters of women. So I just want to give a big shout out to you, DeShawn, for, the nice things you said. So thank you for that. But anyways, back to the topic here. I feel like Black women, we always want to mention the Black part of this, because I think we have the biggest issue when it comes to this particular subject, because we have our community is disconnected. Men and women in the Black community, a lot of them, not all of them, but there's a big, huge disconnect where we kind of just don't like each other. You know what I mean? Like we're having a problem with each other and we're rejecting each other. And her saying that she's learned to be more feminine, and I just thought that was what we talk about a lot. It's like it piggybacks off a lot of what we talk about. Is the importance, I think, of being feminine. You know what I mean? Right. She's in a meaningful relationship. It's gone on for a few years, for almost 4 years. So, and is thriving and doing better. And she said it's doing better because she's become more vulnerable with her mate, with her spouse. And because of that, their relationship probably blossomed from that. I'm assuming it blossomed from that. Right. Because once a woman, I feel like once you let down your wall and become more vulnerable, to the person that's to a person that is worthy of that vulnerability. It's not just with everybody. You have to kind of be worthy. A man has to be worthy of that vulnerability. But once you do break down that wall, for me at least, it just became more relaxing to be feminine. Yeah. Because for so long I was always like this big, this huge wall up, and I was just like hard as nails, and masculinity leading that masculine foot, like we always be talking about, and I was doing that. But once I let that go, it's like the men that I got involved with were just different men. They were just better men, better quality of men, and just meant a lot more to me just to be myself, which is feminine. Black women just don't want to do that part.
And I don't want Black women, because I think we had a comment from some woman the other day. This kind of just said, I think it was off our last video, where one of the ladies, I think you read it, this said something like, the lady said, so men can just do anything and women don't ever change. So if you are a woman watching this, and every time you watch this, it seems like we are, I wouldn't say we're pointing out the flaws of women and not the flaws of men. And the reason why that is because you can't change people. You can only change yourself. And so I don't know how to make a man, but I do know how to be a woman. And I do know that being a woman can bring out the man in a man.
Agreed.
You understand? Yeah. So it's not productive to me to sit there and tell a man how to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? How to grow up. I'm 44 years old. Whoever I date is going to be 44 plus. If he hasn't, if he's not a man by now, then we are in trouble. We're in some trouble.
It's a problem,
here,
yeah.
Right. And so my thing is I do think men know how to treat women.
I do too.
I think what it is that women have somewhere along the lines forgotten what it means to be female, and I think that female is being overly sexual.
Agreed.
And sort of, how can I say this? Because I've always said that, especially with black women, a lot of times we're always one of two things: we're either Nicki Minaj or we're Oprah. And both of those are masculine qualities.
Extremes,
There's never, you never really get to see a black woman be the middle of the line, like white women, Hispanic women, Asian women. Always, you can always see you can always that those races of women be everything, every spectrum of the board. But with black women, it always just seems like we're just either sexual dynamos or we're workhorses.
Right.
And so then, and those are, like I said, those are masculine qualities. And what happens is when you lead with those qualities, you bring out the masculinity in men, and they treat you like they would treat any of their friends, their male friends, like men. And
then in turn, what happens is that like that woman, she deleted her comment, and the reason why she deleted her comment is because men were trying to explain to her why she was incorrect with leading with that kind of masculinity, and she really didn't want to hear that.
Right.
Which leads me to the part where DeShawn is kind of alluding to, is that it is unfortunate that we don't allow that. You know what I mean? We don't kind of allow that kind of like communication with black men with us. You know what I mean? And I do agree with what you're saying. It's like we do this constantly, and like Kara was saying, like we do talk a lot to black women.
I don't talk to black men as much.
We're not picking on black women though. Like
I'm not picking on you, but I am a black woman who's had problems in the past, and I understand what my problems were, and a lot of it I thought was men. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was all the men I dated.
Right.
Back in my 20s and 30s, I always thought that that's what it was. I thought it was them.
100%,
I never thought it was me, or even if I thought it was me, I didn't want to go there because then I'd have to look at myself and say, what am I doing? Yeah. You know what I mean? And a lot of what is the reason why a lot of women find losers is, and I hate to sound bad when I say this, is that you are also a loser. Well, in a way, because you kind of attract who you are. If you're always dating losers, always.
Have we not talked about this?
You know what I mean? Yeah, then there's some part of you that attracts that type of guy, or brings out that trait in a man, because those same men can date another woman and treat them like a queen. And
in my early 30s, I said that I had this question to myself because I was dating a lot of like bad guys, like not good for me guys, right? And I was just there was a point where I was just like, I wanted to claim confusion, but I just wanted to know what the hell was going on. Like, why am I meeting all these bad men? Like, why is that happening? So I asked myself, because self-reflection is something no one wants to do. I never wanted to do that because it's just, that means you got to analyze yourself. And if you analyze yourself, you're going to find out stuff about yourself you don't want to admit to. And that's what I did. And I realized that all of the men that I've dated all do not know each other.
Right.
But who they do know was me. So I'm the common denominator with this. Okay. Now they may have their own issues. Clearly, those men had issues, their own personal issues. But that's not
I'm not trying to say men don't have issues.
They do.
Of course they do.
They do have issues.
But you can't change people.
Right. So when I realized that you got to when you take the man out of the conversation for a minute and just look at why you are doing what you're doing. So that's why I asked myself, like, why am I continuously dating the same men? Like, what is the problem here? And the answer to that question is low self-worth.
Yeah.
That the blatant answer to that question, and any woman right now who doesn't think that's the answer, is you are delusional.
Right.
Because no woman with high self-worth and self-esteem is ever going to let a man of low self-worth, low vibrating come into their life at all. It won't happen. So once I flipped that in my head, worked on myself, which is hard. Yeah, you remember I'm talking about early 30s. That wasn't too long ago. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't like I learned this in my 20s. Like, I was a late bloomer on this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I admit that. Like, I admit that. And I think that once I got to that point where I'm like, okay, well, you got to figure out how you're not going to be doing this. And then, like, I just kind of flipped it. I just never let anybody treat me bad anymore. Yeah. And I didn't accept losers anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I became not a loser anymore. And I'm not, I think you were saying, like, I think that it may seem like you're being, like, it sounds like a harsh thing to say, what you're saying, like saying that, you know, but it is true that, do winners date losers? No.
But no. And just because like you can there will be a lot of different types of men that come up to you.
Yeah.
But it's who you decide to entertain. It can determine what's going on in yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? A lot of the women that have the biggest mouths are the women who would do it again. Yeah. Would take the same type of man over and over again. And those men know that. Yeah. The women that always want to wag their finger at a man or always have the loudest voice about how men are dogs and how they don't treat women well. Their men are the chivalry's gone. Men don't want to plan dates. They don't want to do this. Those women would no matter how bad they talk about those men, they will go back for more in a second, and they will not even with the same guy, a whole nother loser. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then we're going around the same. Right. Oh my God! Yeah, all men, they can't find any good dates. All men are dogs. Well, I'm not meeting them anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm not. When I got right, all of a sudden the men are different. Yeah. Why is that? What? Duh. Because I'm different. Right. They're different. The reason why I'm attracting different types of men is because now I'm different. Right. You know what I mean? I believe that I deserve a certain, you know, being treated a certain way. Right. And I get treated that way. Now, that does not mean I'm exempt from meeting a bad guy. Mm-hmm. The only thing is that the difference is that if I ever do meet someone who is not whole, I will spot it out that day, and then it will be over. Yeah. Whereas before, if I date a guy who's not whole, I know that, and I will keep dating. When you do have issues, you do date your issues. You do, yeah. You know what I mean? I watched a show. There was a show called Millionaire Matchmaker, and there was a guy that was a millionaire. He was trying to find a real relationship, but the lady that was the matchmaker, she kept saying the problem is you date too many women that are in their 20s. Now this man was like close to 55, 60, and all the women he was dating was like 21, 22, 25, and she said the problem with you is that you are dating women who are younger. Now, there's nothing wrong with younger women. Yeah. The problem is that there's something in you. Why are you only dating younger women? Well, come to find out is that he feared getting older. Yeah. And so he felt like if he dated a woman his age, it would make him feel old. Right. But what he thought he was doing was dating a woman who was younger, and she was going to make him feel younger, and all she did was make him feel old. Right. Because when you're 60... and you're dating a 25-year-old, you can clearly see the age, and you know what I mean. So he's like, all you're getting out of them is physical fun. That's it. But then when you want a substance, because as men get older, they want more too. Yeah. You know what I mean? You have to have something else that you're bringing. You have to be able to talk to them and be with them, you know, in a certain way. You know what I mean? And those girls were just not able to do that for him. So that's what I'm saying. The same thing for women. If you're always dating the same type of guy, then you're going to get the same type of result. You can talk about men all you want, but at the end of the day, your action matters more than your words. Right. If you're going to sit there and talk about how men are doing everything wrong, but every single time you date a guy, you do the same type of things and accept the same type of behavior, then you're going to get the same result. Right. Well, it's like DeShawn was saying in her message, in her inbox message that it is unfortunate that women do not understand that the value that a man can bring into a woman's life. That whole statement is completely true. And I think that what's happened is that a lot of women now just feel like men are all same thing. Men are all dogs. So they're like, no, men do add value to your life. The right type of man for you, the right man is going to add value to your life. But it's like we've become so emasculated. Women become so emasculated that we do the man stuff. Yeah, I mean, we don't see the value of the male, right? You know, anymore, because we're doing all the stuff. Men are supposed to add value to your life as you're supposed to add value to their life. We each have things. You know, every couple is different. Every relationship is different. The role. I mean, it's all up to you and
you as a couple, with how you want to do things. But this one part will never change, is that we both are supposed to add value to each other's lives. And DeShawn really spoke some truth on that. And she's finding that her man is bringing value to her life, and she's doing the same thing. But we have become so emasculated that we don't see that way. We're doing it all now. I can get it.
Me and Danielle were raised by a single mother.
Single mother, yeah.
With no father. Our father left
a
long time ago. You know what I mean? And so he left before Danielle was even born. So, and I was barely walking.
Yeah.
So we were only raised with a woman. So my whole family, I mean, literally, like, there are a lot of single women in my family, but even like my grandmother was single, her mother was single. You know what I mean? We come from a line of that. You know what I mean? And a lot of that is because women who do everything.
That's the most
they don't know how
thing,
to, and I can see that in my lineage. Yeah. My grandmother, who is white, she's not even black. My grandmother, our grandmother, who's white, had a mother who got left with children. Yeah, you know what I mean. And her mother was the same thing. My mother, my aunts, my cousins. We're all saying, you know why? And the reason why is because when women are raised with only seeing women do everything, they then become that too.
Right.
Now, it's not, you can always relearn. It's not like, my mother raised me the best way she could. She did a good job. Yeah. She did it all by her, pretty much all by herself, you know what I mean? And, but this is what happens, like, when women try to do everything, and then when men aren't doing anything, then you get mad. Because if they try to help you, I can do it. It's like, I can do this. I can do that. There was an episode. Remember the episode of Sex and the City where Samantha got her new apartment, and then she literally said, she was like, men used to complain about work, and then women went to work and said, this isn't so hard. Yeah. And so it's that attitude of men are not. I don't need you. Men are not strong.
They're not relevant.
They're not relevant. And then what happens is when women get lonely, then they're relevant.
You know what I'm saying?
Then all of a sudden it's like, oh
God, I need to find a good man now. Well, are we really? Because you were acting like before they weren't relevant. We like to call it, it's just kind of like in the political world, the one thing that people should do, or the political party should do, is call out their own party. This is kind of what we're doing. We call out our own gender on things, and we expect men to call out their own gender when men are not doing something right. Which in our comments, we have seen a lot of men stand up and go, hey, dude, like you are not being a man. Sorry, you're not being a man. And I can't tell a man. I'm not going to. So this is why we talk mostly about,
and I'm not going
to
train a man how to be a man. That's not my job. Yeah. My job is to just be a good woman, and then the right man will find me. You know what I mean? And that is the way that it is. I'm not going to tell you that you need to grow up. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you that you need to be more romantic. I'm not doing any of that. If I do not inspire you, then we are done.
Then we're done.
You know what I mean? That is it.
It's true.
And I think that is the problem. It's like I think as women, a lot of times we have to figure out what it is that we really want sometimes. I mean, because look, I believe in the law of attraction. I believe that what you talk about the most, you get the most. So if you're always talking about men who are losers, that's what you're going to attract. Men who lose. If you want a man that's of quality, talk more about that. Say to yourself, men are great, because men are. There are men who are really great out there. Why don't we ever talk about those men? Yeah. Why are we only talking about the one, dedicate our time to, and memes and posts about men who have hurt us that aren't even in our life anymore? Yeah. And then they stay with you. Because even though you break up with somebody, the pain that they left you with stays with you. And then if you don't fix that, or forgive them, or figure out what's wrong with you that you keep attracting that, you will attract another guy, and then it's just going to feel like men don't like you. And it's like groundbreaking, ladies, but I'm trying to tell you that it's hard being a man.
It has to be.
I know women don't want to hear that because we like to wear all these hats and think that we're, that we do it all and we are all everything. But look, if you guys have dated enough losers, you should know that if it was easy being a man, most men would try to do it. Right. And a lot of men don't want to be a man. They don't. They like women who are independent because they don't want to have to deal with them financially. They don't want to have to, they like women who emotionally act like this. There are a lot of men who don't want to be a man because it is hard to be, to be a man because you have to take responsibility. For a lot. Right. So as much as it's hard being a woman, it's just as hard being a man, but in different ways. Yeah. Because they have different societal conditions, just like we do.
Life,
you know what I mean?
Life to me is just a series of choices anyways.
Right.
The series of choices that you make, and then those choices you then have to live with.
Right.
It doesn't mean you have to be defined by them all the time.
No,
I mean, you
not
grow
at all,
from
right.
them. But the truth is that if you made a negative choice in your life, right, in the past, and it comes back somehow, and you never worked on it, you're reaping the what's the word? The consequences, kind of your choices in life.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't grow. Doesn't mean you're in for the rest of your life. You're doomed for the rest of your life. Doesn't mean anything like that. No, you can reform yourself. You can unlearn, relearn. You know, everybody. That's what you do.
But you do have to get rid of your ego in order to get there. You know what I mean? Because a lot of this independent woman stuff has created a huge ego in women.
You know how
what I mean?
Really hard
and they don't want they don't want to admit that they have problems too. And you know, a lot of women do need therapy. A lot of women do need to go to therapy. You know what I mean? They have been lost in the idea of what a woman's supposed to be today, and they don't really know who they are.
Yeah.
You know, it's like men are valuable. You know what I mean? One of the things one of the things that really is one of my pet peeves is when Mother's Day or Father's Day comes, and all of these women who are single mothers want to say, "Happy Father's Day to me because this man was gone." It's like, okay, no, you're not a father. You're a good mother.
Right.
Okay. I'm sorry that you believe me. I'm a woman who was raised without a father. My mother was a great mother, but there were things I missed. No matter how good of a mother she was, she can't replace the absence of my father.
She can't be expected to,
and she can't be expected to. But so when I see women do that, I'm like, I don't care how great of a mother you think you are. The truth is that your child is missing something in their life, and they may not know it now if they're smaller. But as you get older. And as I started dating, I did realize what missing a father.
The value of
value. I mean, I know people get worried about the patriarchy and what the patriarchy is in this country because most of the country is run by men. But we do need men or men, and more important, we want them. So if you want a man, don't talk bad about men. Don't talk about stuff you want. Whatever you want, whether it's a man or whatever you want. So it's just like men are valuable. And you got to remember that. So just because you see a bunch of women becoming successful and they have all these things, you have to remember those women want to date. And if you want to date, you have to be able to be somebody. You got to be something somebody wants to date.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Men can be annoying, but so can women. Women can be very obnoxious.
I mean, it's true.
You know, and sorry to say that. And I know that a lot of women subscribe to us. And they'll probably be like, oh, why are they being so mean to women? It's not that we're being mean to women, but that when women ask us questions on dating and stuff, and then you got to look at yourself. Yeah. It is very important that you're aware of yourself.
Yeah, like DeShawn, the one that wrote this, she did work on herself, clearly. She did work on herself where she was able to recognize a shortcoming about herself. And this, in turn, gave her the opportunity to have a great man.
Right, her and her husband clearly had a communication.
Right.
And that's another thing, you got to communicate.
So dating with I feel like dating and getting
a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, with a chip on your shoulder is one of the most unattractive things in the world.
Right.
You're sitting there and you don't like the person that's across from you because you already have a hang up about that person, about their gender, and yet you still go out there and you start dating.
Right.
And then the whole time, then eventually what happens, you get into a relationship. The relationship gets real sour, and it's one of those bad, just redundant, stupid relationships that you're just a dead end. And then you stay there, and then you break up, and you wonder why. Oh, it's another bad one.
Right.
You have a chip on your shoulder, dear. That's what it is.
Right.
Get right. It's like you got to get right with yourself. And I don't think that women. Like, I don't feel like we're not going to be able to be vulnerable until we can truly understand why we're upset. Like, what the hang up is. You know, it wasn't until I patched up my problems with men, the core problem, not just a man. Right. Not just that last guy I dated or this guy, you know, not just that. Like, when I patched up the problems I was having, that's when it all changed for me. That when I was dating and I had a chip on my shoulder, there was no way I was ever going to meet anybody of substance. Yeah. They're going to be like me. Chip on their shoulder too. And so you kind of deserve what you get.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of
insecurity is really loud.
Insecurity is very loud.
It's very loud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people who are the most insecure talk the most.
Yeah.
They do. Like there's less action. It's mostly just a lot of mouth and, you know, talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And DeShawn is saying that, you know, I'm glad I'm learning, you know, the value a man brings into a woman's life, because that she's suggesting, obviously, in that comment, that I didn't know that before. I didn't see the value of a man, you know, and I relatable. I get it, because I didn't see it either. I was like, what? I don't understand that. But huge value, you know, and I feel like women who are unhappy or not whole or just having struggling with this subject are gonna feel like they're being like attacked, you know, and women have to do all the changing. Yeah. And the truth is that when we are different, they are different. We don't give ourselves enough. We call ourselves queens, but you know, a queen is powerful, right? So we just diminish our power every single time that we do this. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you have power in being a woman and being feminine. There's power in that. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we don't use it right. So what we do, we think that power, women like this think that power is masculine. Power is overriding what he's saying, overriding what he's doing, not letting him bring anything to the table, because I done brought the whole table, the house, I done brought the cars, I got it all set up. You all set up here. All you gotta do is be with me. Right. And that you're not challenging a man whatsoever when you do that. I feel like that's just, what is he with you for? Because real men, alpha males, I know a lot of them. That's a repellent. They're like, well, then I guess I'm not here for anything then. So
I remember on the movie The Big Fat Greek Wedding, and her mother said the man is the head. And she said, but the woman is the neck, and the woman can turn the man's head. You know what I mean? And so the thing is just like, what she meant by that is that our feminine qualities can influence the way that they feel, because they need us too.
Malcolm X and his wife, Martin Luther King and his wife.
Women are important to a man in the feminine way. You know what I mean? It's just like, we're very valuable in that way. You know what I mean? And so if you can use your like feminine qualities, you can influence a guy, because at the end of the day, they need us too. It's not one way. They need us too. You know what I mean? You have power. Yeah. Find the value. And some men will say women have all the power. I've had a lot of.
Remember we had that Uber driver. We had this Uber. This is a white man, by the way. So anyways, he said women have the power. They have the power. You know what I mean? They do. They have the power. They just never use it right. They're too busy trying to tell a man
trying to be us,
trying to be them. And he's right. We are very powerful people. We just don't use our power at all. We literally usually just give it away to some guy, you know, and mess that all up. Or we try to be a man. Right. And I just don't promote that at all. Like, I feel like I do not promote that whatsoever. It's cringy to me when I see a woman try to not be who she's supposed to be naturally. Right. You know what I mean? And go against that. You know how much work it takes to resist being a lady, being a woman? Yeah. It's a lot. I used to do that. It's a lot of work to be masculine. Right. When you're not a masculine woman. I am not a masculine woman. I'm I'm a very assertive. I'm an assertive person. I know what I want. You know, and I do what I can to get what I want. You know what I mean? And I take action and all that stuff. But you know, I'm a woman, so I like to be soft and feminine, and it just works out well for me.
But I also don't want to be overpowering. I'm a very direct woman. If you ask me a question, I'm direct. You know, in business, to me, we're all one sex.
Supposed to be,
but when I am very direct, you know what I mean. But I don't want to overpower a man, because the qualities I want from a man would diminish the benefit for me. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So why would I go into a relationship trying to be him and show him up when what I want from him is exactly what I'm trying to take from him?
You're just playing yourself. Right. So like women out there, that's a good. You playing yourself. We don't want to listen, and then we don't want to listen because whenever, like we said before, we had a comment with a woman who was absolutely wrong. She was wrong on every level, and there was a couple women that said something saying, no, maybe she listened to there's like a fleet of guys that were like, no, what we're trying to tell you is that you're not listening.
Right.
And I'm like, they're not being rude. These are not, look, we get comments sometimes from people who are just trying to be rude. The guys who are just trying to be rude and you get a rise out of somebody. That's not the, these were actually just men who were trying to shed some light on her issue. And she left the chat.
Right.
Because she couldn't take it. And this is the fun. We have a problem. This is why we're calling it out. There's a problem with us not being willing to listen to men who are like centered men. You know what I mean? No BS men. I'm not talking about just any man. I'm talking about men that actually have something to say and they have their opinion means something. It can add value to us. A lot of us don't want to listen because you know why? The truth sometimes sucks to hear, and you may be doing that thing.
Right.
You may be doing things you don't like that, and I just choose that we don't always care, and I don't always agree with what every man says. We're women, so we think differently. That's just what I'm saying. DeShawn also said this in part of her message. I love seeing us take responsibility for our actions because so many of us flip the table over. I do believe that so many of us do not accept accountability for what is going on in our lives. We play victim or place the blame on others. Did she not just say a whole word?
Right.
Because accountability, responsibility for the actions and the choices that you made in your life, you have to take accountability for that. It really is the only way that you're ever going to be happy in life. Once you take accountability, responsibility, and then work on your problems, I'm telling you, your whole life is going to change. Right. She's right. If you don't take accountability for it, then you're never going to get the lesson. You're just going to blame. It's going to be everybody's fault. He did this to me, and that happened. My ex-husband, my ex-boyfriend, and they all just don't know what they're talking about. And I'm just great, and they're just terrible. I'm great. I did everything right. I didn't do nothing wrong. Okay, it was all them.
Right, and see, and this is where when the women start talking about I'm a queen and the black girl magic and you know, bad bitch and all this, and this is, you know, there's women like that who use those slogans.
That's true.
It's not women who actually feel that way. It's the
exactly.
women who feel like they have achieved so much and done so much that now that because they're not getting back what they think they're supposed to get back because they did everything on the outside but not the inside, they're the ones who chant this, and this is why I don't like chants like that. Because it causes women to use it as an ego boost instead of actually really think about what those terms really mean. Right. You know, what does it really mean to be a queen? Don't just say it because you went to college or because you got money or because you think that you look good or because you know what I mean. Really, what does that mean? It's an inside job, and a lot of women aren't working on the inside. They're working only on the outside, and that's it. And then when they are single and unhappy, they just it's men. Yeah. I can say that. I can say when I was younger, I was a bit of a loser. You know what I mean? I'm jumping out of my own ego for a second. But no, but it's true. I'm just saying I was kind of a loser. Like when I think of the kind of person and all the things I put up with in my 20s, I can say, my God, what was I thinking? Of course I didn't have a boyfriend. Of course I had bad relationships. You know what I mean? I think of all of those things and I think to myself, God, I mean, what was I thinking? You know what I mean? Even in my 30s, there were times where I just thought,
that's what I'm saying.
Girl, when were you ever going to push the brake?
Right, because like, I told y'all when I was like in my early 30s, I was like so sick of dating the wrong guys all the time. I was just like, well, maybe Danielle, you should stop talking about what they're doing wrong and start talking about what the hell you doing wrong.
But it didn't dawn on me. But it didn't dawn on me that it could be my fault for a long time. It never dawned on me because I thought I was nice. No, I'm nice. I'm taking care of them. I thought I was a nice person and everything, but the truth was no. I was taking care of men that weren't taking care of I was taking care of myself. But I was taking care of them. They good. Right? So, this is not groundbreaking stuff. But it's important. It took me a long time. It took me a long time. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been that woman, but I'm just saying it took me a long time
to get the message.
To say, oh, I see what happened. Oops. You know what I mean? Like, I just never had the example. First of all, I never had the example of a man. Yeah. Growing up, I just didn't have that. You know what I mean? Like. But I see what happened. I didn't realize men were leaders, and they like to be leaders. I didn't realize that men, can take care of their problems. Yeah. You know what I mean? I kind of treated them like children. Yeah, which a lot of women do. Because I thought that I was smarter than them, and I thought that they needed me. in that way. So it took me a long time to go, oh, okay, so no, you are doing too much.
Right.
You need to let that go. You know what I mean? And so I did have to let that go.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you meet a lot of, when you figure out yourself, you meet a better class of people.
You do. DeShawn, thank you, girl, for this topic.
Right.
All right. We really appreciate it. If you guys have any topic ideas, you can just email us. I'll leave the email here. Yep, that's it, you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out. Hello to all the new subscribers. We got some new subscribers, so thank you for subscribing. And that's it, you guys. We will see you, I guess, later on this week. All right. Bye, guys.